Right.
Making Gradebook your BFF.
Okay, great. Thanks. It's hard for me sometimes to know what other people are seeing, but I guess we'll just get started here. And if more folks show up, that's great. But I can't see how many folks are here. I think it's like 11. So that's really, that's wonderful. Thanks, everybody. The first thing is that I can't monitor the chat. A lot of times when we do this like on campus, some person volunteers and monitor the chat if anybody has a question. But I'm at home now. I'm all by myself. Although my dog might come to the door. I may have to, I'll tell you if that happens. So if you have a question or a comment, or if I'm confusing, please just jump right in. Don't hesitate just to interrupt. It's really no problem because I don't think there's a friendly way to do it. So let's just do that. The other thing is that these are just, I think, more like generalities. You don't have to do these, but over the course of a number of years of helping people with their gradebook and doing gradebooks for my own courses, I've kind of come up with these things just because I think it makes it easy. And I am a big advocate of making it as easy as possible for the gradebook because it makes your life easier. And also the students should always really know how they're doing in your course, despite the fact that they really should know anyway. I'm always shocked when a student is doing, they did a C paper and an F on the quiz and then a D on something and they say, how am I doing? Like, you don't know, but they don't. So I'm a big advocate of having that information for them all the time, and there is a way we can do it here to make that happen. So here's, I guess I would just say my friendly suggestions for making it work. And I'm going to open up a course of mine here, and I'm going to use this as my example to show you. It is the Fonz. My students didn't know who the Fonz was. I should have failed them all. Ridiculous.
Horrible.
Unbelievable. I teach at a prison, and all the guys there know who the Fonz are because they've been in there for 30 years.
The Fonz.
Yeah. Well, anyway, here's number one. The first thing is to keep it simple. And there's a number of examples I'm going to use for that to show you. I once helped I won't say the division, but I once helped a faculty member with their grade book, and they had like 13 quizzes, but you dropped 2, but if you didn't do well on one, you could get another, but it only opened for some people. And then if you took a test, you could then take another, which just canceled out that. It was crazy. We actually made it work, which was unbelievable. We somehow made the grade book do all that. But all I kept thinking the whole time was, I don't think the students truly know how they're doing in class because of all these different things. So that's when I sort of realized keeping it simple is the best for everyone. Again, these are just my friendly suggestions. So the first thing, and you all know this, so forgive me for saying the most obvious thing in the world. The first thing is our course outline has to agree with, or I should say the other way around. The grade book has to agree with the course outline. By the way, somebody, if you could just mute yourself. I just hear some like burbling in the back, which microphones often pick up. If you scroll up, it says like towards the, like here, it'll say like mute. You can, there we go. Thank you, whoever did that. I can't see everyone's name. So the first thing, this is the course outline for one of my classes. My classes are pretty much similar. They're all here. I have 30 points for the test, 20 for participation, and I have 5 short papers, each are 10 points for 50 total. And of course, that equals 100. I'm a big advocate of having your course equal 100 if possible, or 1,000, and I'll go into reasons why. Now, once again, I've seen excellent courses, and the grade books are smart and well done, that add up to 760 or 1,058 or something like that. That's perfectly fine. You can do that. The disadvantage, there's a few disadvantages. The first is that the student knows they're getting it out of 760 points and they have a 610. I'm not sure they really know how they're doing. All of us know how we're doing out of 100. It's pretty clear and pretty simple. So that's one reason why I like to use it. The other reason is that we may not know. The faculty, if a student says, how am I doing, excuse me, and we look at that weird number, we may not really know without doing some quick math. So I've come to the conclusion, because of mistakes that I've made, that trying to get it out of 100 points is really the best way to do it. And another thing is, you can also tailor your gradebook to fit into 100. Let's say it is out of 760, your normal course. We can actually just change the ratios so that they, actually that's wrong. We don't change the ratios. We keep all the weights the same, but we just make it out of 100. So first friendly point, keep it simple. Try to keep it out of 100. And of course, your gradebook must agree with your course outline. Suggestion 2. Let me show you my gradebook here for my history, modern U.S. history class. Remember what my course outline showed, and that's exactly what I have here. I have weekly essays, which are worth 50. Both, I have 2 tests, a midterm and a final. They're worth 30, and the discussions are worth 20. Now, one thing that's confusing, and this confused me for a while when Moodle changed the gradebook recently. I think it was version 2.8 changed the gradebook. If I want to change information about the weekly essays, I don't go here, even though that's where it kind of looks like it should be. You actually go up here to the top of the category, and then you can edit all the settings. That's very confusing, and we get tickets on a somewhat regular base. People saying I can't change the points for a category, and I just show them this, and it seems obvious now, but it's not when you first look at it. You'll also notice I'm using categories. I have 3 categories: weekly essays, tests, and discussion questions. This is the most important rule of setting up the gradebook. Excuse me. You have to use categories. And what that means is the students will then know, they can look at the points for each category and see how they're doing. Some courses don't use categories. Faculty simply make assignments or quizzes or whatever, and they all just show up on a really long gradebook, and it's really hard to tell what weighs what or what counts for what. The number 1 rule is to use categories. Now, if you have a course from scratch, you're starting brand new, I would recommend the very first thing you do once you know what your course is going to look like, go to your gradebook setup where we are now and click on Add Category. Make as many as you need. Like I said, I have weekly essays, tests, and participation. You can do quizzes, whatever you want. Once you have those categories set up, you'll see that when we are in the course, let's say you're designing your course and you just added an assignment. We'll use this assignment here. I'm going to scroll down here. This is an essay. You'll notice in the essay, I already made this, but I'll show you how I did it. I'm going to expand everything. I just created the essay. I assigned the points. I put the questions in, and you'll see here, it's going to ask me what category do you want it in under grade. This tells me what category, or this is where I tell it where to put it. If you have a current course that has no categories, it's really easy. You can just create categories from the gradebook in the setup, and then go to your assignments and tell it where you want it to go. It doesn't hurt anything by doing it afterwards. But if you're creating a course, start with that because it'll make everything a lot easier. Did I put that in the right place? I'm gonna hit cancel. I don't remember if I did that right. I've seen many courses, folks ask for help with the gradebook, so I go into some of the gradebooks pretty deeply, and I've noticed that almost every course I've seen has those categories anyway. It's just, I think, a natural way that we grade students. Tests are this much, quizzes are this much. So if you don't use categories, that's the number 1 thing to do to set it up so that it becomes more usable, which we'll talk about in a little bit. There's an important thing about the categories too. I'm going to go back into the setup. Notice on the bottom here, the course total. I've set it to be 100. You can set it to anything you want, but once again, I like it to be 100. If I change any of this stuff, I add more essays, I remove essays, I change this from 50 to 30, whatever I do, this number won't change unless I manually change it. So you don't have to do any math. The gradebook will do all the math for you. Let's just say for some reason, I changed my essays from 50% of the grade to 30 points. So I'll have 30, 30, and 20. Well, that doesn't equal 100 anymore, but the gradebook is going to make the changes for you. It's going to assume it's 30, 30, 20. That's how it weighs it. And then it's going to give the student points out of 100. But like I said, I like to make sure it equals 100 anyway, just for my own and the student's benefit. So you don't have to do the math. You don't have to come up with a formula. Moodle will do it for you. And this is a huge advantage. I still use Excel a lot. I still check my grades at times to see if Moodle is correct. I have my gradebook set up so that it is. And I kind of like making Excel spreadsheet equations. For some reason, I get a kick out of it. I feel like I know math, and I really don't. It makes me feel good. This, you don't have to do that. Although at the end, I'll show you how you can if you want to be really confused. But let's wait for a bit there. Like I said, if you make any changes, it's not a big deal. Here's a big question, and this has to do with weighing. You'll notice in my course here, all of these are worth 100 points, and I'm simply using 100 because students understand what 100 is. I can make them all 10, I can make them all 37. As long as they're all the same, they're going to weight the same. But let's say I want to have something weighed differently. Let's say in the tests, I want to have my final worth double what the midterm is. Just for example, it could be anything. I go up to the edit for the tests, and I edit settings. And here is where I change that. I'm going to expand this. Simple weighted mean of grades is kind of confusing, but what it means is that they all weigh the same. If I want to change that, I change it to weighted mean of grades. These are not descriptive. Well, I guess lowest grade and highest grade in mode are kind of descriptive. Natural is confusing. Mean of grades sounds like something else. If you want to know what these means, you click on this little question mark here. It'll tell you. The two that we use almost all the time here at the college, from what I've seen, is simple weighted mean of grades. They all weigh the same. And weighted mean of grades, which means they change. Notice what my grade book turns into when I indicate this. Now my tests give me the option to change it. The number 1.0 is the default. It always defaults to that. It means only at this point, these are weighed the same. If I want to change the final to be more, I could change it. I don't think I have to put the point. Now, when I save the changes, you'll see my number 30 did not change. It's still, the tests are still worth 30% of the total, but now I've said that the final is worth double what the midterm is. I could also do this. I could make that 6, and as long as that's 12, it counts exactly the same. The numbers themselves here only mean something in relation to the next one, to the other ones. I could have 37, and then it would be 37 times 2, whatever that is. Whatever number I make it. Of course, I would make it simple. I would just put 1 and 2 if I wanted to do that, just so that students would know as well how it is being weighed. So when you want to weigh things differently, and I could go crazy up here weighing all these essays differently. When you want to weigh things differently, just remember that these are not points, they're not percentages, all they are in relationship to each other. If I want to make them back the same, I'll just change this back to a 1, and then it's the same.
Hey, John.
Yeah, please.
Sorry to interrupt. Can I ask a question about that?
Of course.
So it's just, the relationship is just within that category? So it's just relating to tests?
What I did was, because I edited just the category, yes, it's only there. If I want to have all of these weighed, I could go up to the top, and then I could have everything weighed. The reason I don't do that is because then these boxes open up all over, and I don't need them for this. So I'm keeping it simple. But yes, you could do the whole course. If you wanted to, you could have the whole course have different weights, but then you really wouldn't need categories, and then it becomes a very long list of a bunch of numbers. So I would recommend, if you want to change the weights, do it per category. It keeps it more, I was going to say more simple, keeps it simpler, or more, I don't know. Okay. Let me keep going. I'm reading from a piece of paper here, which seems so low tech. We're on Zoom and I'm reading from a piece of paper. Here's an interesting component of the Moodle Gradebook, which I use a lot, but there's a way to use it wrong, so I want to show you. You may remember in my course outline, I have 14 essays which they can choose from. I take their best 5. I would love to tell you that all students immediately do the first 5 so they get them out of the way and they all do well, and if they didn't do well, they do a 6th or 7th one to get their grades up. That often, almost never happens. Most of my students wait until it's the 9th week and then they furiously do 5 of them. But either way, I give them the option. So I have 14 due, and I keep 5. In the edit section here, there's a way that I can do that, but I want to show you the right way, not the wrong way. if we expand this, and then it's kind of hidden, it's right up top here under Show More. You'll see I have two options. I choose to keep the 5 highest. So if a student does 6 or 7 or 10, it'll get rid of the bottom ones after 5. But you'll see that there's also a drop the lowest. Moodle is encouraging us to get rid of that. And I've hidden it. You can't use it now because of this problem. It's kind of weird. If we do drop the lowest, until the student hits the number, which in my case is 5, it drops everything. So they could take the first 5 quizzes and they don't get any grade because Moodle knows there's still 9 of them coming. By keep the highest, it immediately starts adding and giving the student the grades that they have. So if they do the first 5 weeks, it immediately shows them what grade they are. If they do a 6th week, it drops the lowest one and it keeps pace. So that's why we don't use drop the lowest anymore. We do keep the highest. And like I said, in the default, I closed drop the lowest just so no one's confused. We get tickets somewhat regularly, people saying, I'd like to use drop the lowest, and then I have to explain why they can't and that this is preferable. That was a really long-winded way of saying don't use the thing you can't access anyway. Sorry about that. Here's another thing. This is by default as well, this exclude empty grades. I've checked it, yes. If we go back to the gradebook setup, you'll see why. The students have only taken a few things when the course starts. They've done a few of the essays. They haven't even done the midterm yet. If I do not have that box checked, exclude empty grades, it thinks the student got zeros on everything they haven't done yet. So do not uncheck that box unless for some reason you want that. I'm not sure why you would want it. I've set that to default so that it doesn't happen and that students will see their grades currently as being correct. Some folks have changed that. I'm not sure why. Maybe they inadvertently did it, and then their grades go all screwy because the students all of a sudden have a 10 when they've gotten, you know, A's and B's on everything. All right. Here's another thing. You will notice in my course, I have plenty of students, but I have 2 special ones. And where are they? I have, where is he? Uh-oh. Not in this course. I have 2 students in another course, not this one. I have Darth Maul and Han Solo in my courses. And the reason for that is because I can test. You know that thing that you can like see, it says change role as a student? That's fine, but all you're doing is looking. If you want to take a quiz and see how it grades out, if you want to post something as a fake student, you got to actually have a fake student. But what I do is I have fake students in my courses, except for this current one I'm apparently showing you, and I'll have them do things. Everyone knows in the course, if they get a post from Han Solo, I'm pretty sure they're going to know it's not real, even though I write, you know, please ignore or something like that. What I do during a course, if I've just created it, and I'm still not sure about the gradebook, I will give Han Solo grades as the course goes on, and I can always check how Han Solo is doing based upon the numbers that I've given him, or Darth Maul, one or the other. So if you want fake students in your course, please just drop us a ticket. We'll throw them right in. I'll even give you the login information if you need, so you can log in as that student and do what you have to do in the courses. It's remarkably helpful to test if your gradebook is accurate throughout the term. And that brings up the last thing about the term. Students always seem to look at their grades throughout the term, and they should, because it should be accurate. If you don't have this all set up properly, the grades might be screwy. We've also found some weird little bugs in the gradebook that even if it looks like the gradebook is set up properly, somehow it doesn't work all the time, and we got to dig and find what's wrong. If you're noticing that, or your students are telling you, my grade doesn't look right, and it's, you know, during the term, please drop us a line, drop us a ticket. We'll take a look at it, because I really am a big advocate of having the students have it right in front of them, exactly how they're doing at any moment in the course. They really should know that, even though, like I said at the beginning, they kind of should know it anyway, but this is a way that they do know, that we know that they know. So this is the reason when I design a course that I use a fake student, because every assignment I'll just give that fake student a grade. They don't have to submit anything. I can just go to the grade book, I go to view, and I could just give someone, if I hit this little pencil icon, as the instructor, I can just put a grade in. I'll just override all, and I can just put a grade in if I want. So Han Solo gets 100. Every time I'm grading something, I throw Han Solo a grade or a 90, whatever. That way I know I can always check to see how Han Solo is doing. If all of a sudden he's got A's and B's and he's got a 30, I have a problem with my grade book and the students are seeing inaccurate numbers, and I can quickly go back and fix it. That's just a quick little thing that I do. I have one more important thing to show, but any questions so far about the grade book or any particular issues?
Hi, John. How do you actually add a fake student?
Unfortunately, I have to do it for you. So if you drop us a ticket, Erica or I will put them in. Just tell us the course or courses, how many you want, the actual courses, and we'll throw them in. It'll take us like 5 minutes.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I'm a big advocate. I use them all the time. Any other questions before I have I'll show you the scary thing? Okay, here's the scary thing. Math people, I'm not going to say their names, but they know who they are. They will use this. In the course total, you can, if you want, ignore everything I just said and come up with a calculation yourself. The calculation is kooky. Here's how you do it. You give everything a number, an ID number they call it, however you want. And this is just like an Excel calculation. Then you go up here and you have to use brackets and symbols. You can make a giant Excel calculation with the ID numbers you put here. Let's say I call this 7. That way it knows when I put 7 in brackets. That's what this essay is. And then it will actually come out with the right number. Some of our math folks do this, and I actually spoke to one of our math faculty the other day, and she said she used it all the time because it was easy. Well, she's math faculty. I don't think it's easy. So I don't encourage this. If you wish to use it, we can help. I'll probably have to do a little research before I help you. But you always have the option, if you want, to not do this stuff and just have a final calculation at the end if you wish to do it that way. Right. One of the advantages of the Moodle Gradebook, as they have fixed it and made it better, is you don't need to use the calculation anymore. You did when Moodle was very young. Everyone used these difficult calculations, but I think they left it there just in case people are still using it from years ago. I do not encourage you to use it. It scares me. Any questions, folks, about any particular thing, or maybe in your class you have an issue that other folks could benefit from? Anything in particular?
Hey, John, what about using scales? Because I have like A minus, B plus, B.
Yeah.
I remember last time I had to do the calculations for that in my head because it did not come out right, even though I put it in the scales area.
Yeah, the scales are a little funky. Here, I just clicked on scales when I was in the grade book, and I can choose which ones I use here. And when I'm in an assignment, excuse me, I can choose to use a scale. Let me just show quickly. If I want to have this one as a scale, which is not a number, like I have it out of 100, but maybe I want to use a scale. And some folks use scales for discussion questions, like pass, fail. They've done the discussion question or not. Let me expand this. And we'll go down to grades, wherever that is. And you'll see now I can choose scale, and then it changes. I can now use this. Now, there is a way to set it up so that it gives points for students. I've actually found that clunky. I mostly only use it for pass, fail, or complete and incomplete because it doesn't give the proper points in the grade book. If I were to, let me leave this here. Let me see what happens here. Let me see. I wonder how it's going to look. Let me look how it looks in the grade book. We'll go to the grade book and see. I have had trouble with the scale, and I don't use it anymore, unfortunately. Yeah, here it is. So this will not be added into the the percentage at this point.
Yeah.
Try to have it give a number.
The scale I was talking about
Yeah.
was the final grade scale.
Oh, I totally answered the wrong question.
Uh-huh.
So it gives a letter.
Well, yeah, so when I'm putting the grades into Bronco,
Yeah.
then I can just go straight down and use the letters. But I do pluses and minuses.
Well, I do that actually manually. I come up with a final percentage, like a 96, and then when I'm in Bronco Web, I just know that that's an A or something.
That's what I did last time.
Yeah.
But I was hoping there was an easier way through Moodle, so the children can see their scale.
I haven't found a good way. Dave Holtanius actually asked me that question a few months ago, and I did some research, and I couldn't find a way to have it automatically show up for the students.
Okay.
It only stayed as a number, and I got a little frustrated, but I couldn't find a way to do it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, yeah. That's the joy of open source. We have no one to call up and yell at. Any other questions, folks? I appreciate you all being here. Thanks. 11 people here. That's wonderful. When I screwed up the Zoom link, I thought like nobody would show, so I'm glad you all were here. I'm going to post this.
Hey, John.
Yes, please.
I'm sorry, this is Tracy
Hey, Tracy.
Could you talk a little bit about groups and as far as building those and grading those?
Sure. We have to set up groups initially in the course itself. And we go to Edit Settings. And then down here, groups are very helpful if you also have a meta course. Come on. Because you can keep your two courses kind of separate. A meta course is when we join two courses together, so you only have to have one class in effect. You don't have to do it twice. And here with groups, we say we want groups. Separate means they don't know each other exists. They can't communicate or see each other. Visible means they're in separate groups, but they can see each other. So you have to set it up here, and then you go to the groups section, administration, and users and groups. And then we choose, I don't have any students in this course, so it's not going to show, unfortunately. There should be a list of students here, and then I click, 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 and then arrow them here, and I name the group. So I could set up different groups. So once you have groups set up, and you're in an assignment or something, let me get an assignment. You could have the groups, you could have, this may not work because I don't have students in this course. This was a test course. You can then only have certain students see it, or look at it, or work on it.
Mm-hmm.
It won't even show up. Actually, you know what? A more simple way is this. Let me show you a more simple way. Like I said, it may not work because I don't have groups set up because I have no students. But I believe if you go to the assignment in the settings, I think you can say which groups to use. Come on, very slow. If I'm correct, let me try. Yep, here it is. This will allow me to choose the group. It doesn't show up, unfortunately, because I don't have groups set up. But I can set up assignments or forums that only people in that group can see. This is really helpful if you have a meta course or a large class, and you want to ask a question in a forum. I'm just making this up, for example. And maybe you don't want the 30th person to wait until you see what everyone else wrote before they write in. Maybe you want to separate into 3 groups of 10 each. That's a good way to sort of have everyone participate a lot because they don't have to see everyone's response yet. Tracy, is that about what you were looking for? Is there a particular thing?
Nope, that was exactly it. Thank you very much.
Groups are really cool. They take a little while to set up, but I think they're very powerful if you, they can really solve a lot of problems if you want.
They do, definitely.
Cool.
Hey, John, I have
Yes.
another question.
Shoot.
Extra credit assignments.
Yes.
When I give quizzes, because my quizzes are kind of hard, I've heard.
Yeah.
Sometimes I give them an extra credit thing that they can do,
Yes.
but then I have to go back and manually calculate the grades.
Yes.
How do I account for extra credit in Moodle in a way that is possible you can get more than 100% in a category?
We actually had this question a while ago. Kelly, someone asked Kelly this question a while ago, and Erica and I sat down and we found a way to do it. And it was a little convoluted, but it worked. Let me see if I can figure it out really quickly. I know we can do it. there's something here for extra credit. Where is it? Oh, extra credit. What we have to do is we have to have it as a separate category, if I remember correctly, and then it can allow you to go over 100. I think that's how it works. If it's a particular course or assignment, we can get together. I know we figured out how to do it. It doesn't ring a bell right offhand, but I know we figured it out. So we can do it, and let us help you do it. We can make it happen.
Okay.
That's my very polite way of saying I forgot. Anything else, folks? I'm glad you're all here. I appreciate it. If you have any questions, please drop us a line. I'm in and out for the next few days, but Erica's there. When she's out, I'm there. So a ticket is the best way to get help because one of us will get it right away. If you leave us an email or a voicemail, if we're not there, we're not going to get it. So please don't hesitate. A lot of people put tickets with just a question. It doesn't have to be a problem. It could just be a simple question. So please take advantage of that. We'd be happy to help you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. I'm glad you're all here. Thank you so much. And I'm going to post this later. So if you miss something, check out our faculty lounge.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. See ya.
Bye-bye.